20 years ago, 2% of males across the planet got pedicures or manicures. Today it's 10, headed to probably by the end of this decade, 20. And 20 years from now, it'll be close to between 60 and 80%. Gonna wake back up in 2036 and go, holy smokes, I should have invested in that.
Welcome to the Franchise Champion Show. I'm Alan Regala, former G1 athlete, Stanford engineer, and franchise owner who built a multi-million-dollar exit. This show is for driven individuals who want to find the right franchise and build real wealth. My guest today didn't just buy one men's grooming franchise and call it a day. He came in with a capital markets background, built a holding company structure around it, and is on his way to owning 20 locations of the fastest growing luxury men's grooming franchise in the US. He's the CEO of Hammer & Nails Texas, and he's just getting started. Frank Muller, welcome to the Franchise Champion Show.
Alan, it is terrific to be here. I really appreciate the invitation, and I know in our previous conversations they were delightful, so I'm sure today is going to be the same.
Well, I'm super excited, Frank. I was just at your facility, one of your facilities in Dallas just last week. And so I'm very excited to learn more myself and help others across the country learn as well. Let's take us back to the beginning here. How did you get to where we are today? A little bit about your background and how you got into this.
Well, by way of background, I am not a career franchisee. I am a capital markets guy, private equity, investment management. I've been that for my entire career. And during that period of time, I had an opportunity to work with a lot of really smart investors. And I learned a lot over time about what creates an uneven coin flip, things that you look for, right? If you can get a coin flip of 51-49, you will bet an infinite amount of money, right? Because you can win that uneven coin flip. And there's certain factors that you can identify in investment strategies that help increase the odds that you're going to get that uneven coin flip. And so I've been a student of data, and one of the areas that I look at is changes in discretionary spending. You know, we're, as human beings, we're fairly stable in what we tend to buy as a percentage of our discretionary income until we're not. And about, almost a little bit more than a decade ago, men, particularly younger men, began to change. And at first it was just a one standard deviation move, and that got my attention, but I require more evidence. And that's kind of a 68.6% distribution of probabilities that occurs. And then maybe about 7-8 years ago, it moved to a 2 standard deviation, 99.6. And now you're at a 3 standard deviation move, what that means is that in the world of statistics, there's a huge difference between fads. Man, fads come and they go, and people love to hop on a fad. That's what we call in Wall Street parlance traders. They just love volatility. It has nothing to do with fundamentals. I'm not a trader. I'm an investor. So I like trends. And so what was this trend? Men began to prefer health, wellness, appearance, and other forms of experiences, going out to dinner, traveling, those types of things. And it skewed younger. We'll get into that net present value calculation a little bit. And so I was like, what in the world is going on? And one of the areas that was expressed is in this area of appearance. So the second factor I look for is, okay, they're shifting into this category. Are there competitors, right? Because ideally, you don't want competitors. And so there was no luxury national men's grooming business. None. They're regional players, but zero. I like that, because first to national wins. Now, I'll give you an example of that. Take Massage Envy. 20, 30 years ago, if someone said, hey, we're going to create a national massage business, first thing you would have said is that even legal? That can't be right. But they picked up correctly on a shift of the definition of wellness, particularly amongst women at that time, that included massage therapy. You as an athlete, you recognize that massages actually are an integral part of wellness.
That's huge.
So that entry into creating a brand that was intentionally designed to go national around this change in discretionary spending, well, now there's a Massage Envy on every corner, right?
Yeah.
I want to be a part of that ramp up. And now we'll get into exit strategy here in a little bit. So that's the second factor. Third factor, youth. So, you can look at me. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. And the number of haircuts I have remaining with the paucity of hair I still have on my head has a certain net present value. I can calculate the number of times I've got 20 more years of haircuts, calculate a value of that. You've got 40 years of haircuts. So the haircut itself is a stability, but the economic valuation, you're double, actually you're more than that, of the value that my head is. So from a valuation perspective, here comes the capital markets guy. You love it when guys establish spending patterns that are a trend generational shift, because the NPV of that is incredibly valuable. You want to be a part of that. And so that leads me to the other factor. When was this trend last manifested? So if you go back in America, you look at the period 1870 to the 1920s, take a picture of a guy in 1890 in New York City. You know what you saw? Big beard, nice suit, right? It was a manly world, it was a masculine world. Fraternal organizations, social clubs, the barbershops, these were places where men gathered and asserted their masculinity. And a beard is a very visible signal of masculinity. Now, masculinity comes with pros and cons. There were cons of that, and there's always a counter trend to everything. And the suffrage movement really began in the 1870s and 1880s. Not coincident, right? By the time you get to the 1920s, the suffrage movement had really peaked, and you saw women assume control over the economic spends of men. And to take a look at pictures of guys in the 1920s forward, I'm generalizing, but the beards went away. I guess a world where the women were like, hey, I want a less masculine man. I want a more sensitive man. Well, now look what's happening. Even in sentiment surveys on the women's side, they're looking for masculinity again, and they're finding the beards more attractive. Therefore, you see guys expressing that. Once this trend is established, it tends to last 50 to 70 years. It's generational. Once you establish your spending patterns in that 30-year range, you'll persist with that to your grave. And so I was like, wow, no national brand. It's a trend. The net present value is strong. Last factor, not all locations are equal. So when I look at the states across the United States, there are certain states that simply drive the economic success of franchisors. Texas is number one amongst those states, but there's Florida and North Carolina and California, and there's others. There's about 7 to 10 that are really strong. Oftentimes franchisors, they want to expand nationwide. That's great. But the real economic juice, the productivity per shop, usually is related to where there's a heavy weighting of the types of people who buy your product and service. Texas skews younger. That's great. And then last factor, and I promise I'll shut up. I look for diversity. You don't want to have a product or service that appeals to one ethnicity, one racial category, one affluency standard. You want this that it cuts across all of them, that it's driven by something deeper than exterior factors. It is a desire deep within someone to be the best version of themselves. That's really what's going on. It's an experience. All of those shifts, fitness, travel, dining, grooming, appearance, wellness, is all about a feeling of creating an experience. That life is not about your car or your home anymore, which is why you see decrease in spending in those categories and increasing spending in these other categories. So when you put all of that alphabet soup together, why hammer and nails? It had reached the spot in its development where it became certain. 99% of franchisors don't make it to 100 shops. Okay, that's the cold hard truth. There's data that indicates that you can see franchisors between 20 and 40 open shops where they're going to make it. Hammer and Nails had that data. Now we're scaling. We'll be over 100 shops open this year. We'll be at 500 probably within the next 2-3 years. This will be across the nation. And once again, no national brand besides Hammer and Nails. It's like massage envy of the men's grooming group. Oh, last thing, Hammer and Nails. It was a Shark Tank deal. You can find it on the internet.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
He correctly identified the trends, but he had no idea how to operate. The growth in this business This is going to blow people away. Haircuts is a saturated marketplace. Yeah, guys maybe want a better haircut, true. But the growth, cosmetology, fingers and toes and facials. So 20 years ago, 2% of males across the planet got pedicures or manicures. Today it's 10, headed to probably by the end of this decade, 20. And 20 years from now, it'll be close to between 60 and 80%. It is the fastest growing segment in the appearance category, not just in the United States, around the world. Think about it. How many nail salons do you see dedicated to men?
None.
No.
Zero.
Zero competition. So when we go up against barbershops, it's not even a competitor because we're full male grooming. Facials, fingers, toes, coloring, cuts, shaves, everything's in there involved. There is no competitor. No one dedicates the kind of space, physical space that we do to hammer, head, and nails. And that makes this, to me, you start checking the boxes, why it's so compelling to own and operate a portfolio of those shops. But for those who are interested in owning and operating their shops, what a tremendous thing. The uneven coin flip, lots of great choices out there. Wow, what a beautiful business that if you believe the factors I just outlined, I think that's why this is compelling.
Wow. Well, that was a lot of great information, and my head is spinning a bit. You've got so much good information in there. So many questions are popping up here. So first, let's start with kind of where we ended here with the nails, manicures, pedicures, and such. I mean, I think for a lot of people, this is going to be, a pretty surprising, like, wait, what? When you just talked about masculinity and beards and all this other stuff coming back, those two things just kind of like don't seem like they go together. So start us off with that and, how you pair these two things together and why and where this, like how you're identifying the need for this.
So it's on multiple fronts. So let me take one that's a little trite, kind of funny, but it's true. Women don't like men's toenails. Let's be honest. There's a lot of gals at night who go and like, keep those nasty things away. I like that.
A lot of men don't like their own toenails.
Yeah, it's just bad. It's just all bad. And this idea of appearance, right? In today's modern world, we weren't covering up our feet all the time like they were in the 19th century. It's important. So there's an aesthetic driven by women. What they find desirable is a shift. And their design, maybe not just facial hair, but cleanliness, orderliness in the appearance of men. And men respond to the buying decisions of women. Think about it, okay? So there are guys going right now to female nail salons with their wives or girlfriends, and they sit there like this. It's weird. It's creepy. It doesn't make sense. So they're a fish out of water. That needs to be addressed. Marketing 101. Second thing that I think is really interesting about this, and women have picked up on it, health. So when you walk into a hospital, and my dad recently passed away, and the first thing that a doctor or nurse does, lift up the sheet and they look at the toes. First indicators of disease are infections in the mouth, cavities, gingivitis, and others. Same thing with the toes. They are the two central mechanisms that health professionals will look at for a quick observation about blood flow and infection in the body. Now, women have picked up on this, but interestingly, women are also picking up that the traditional method of pedicures, which is to go into a whirlpool machine, that's a medical device, supposed to be completely drained and cleaned every single time after it's used, doesn't really happen. And in COVID, they began to realize, now wait a second, if I have a little nick on my foot and I stick my feet down into that witch's brew, you can Google this, it's all over the internet. They can go, oh my gosh, it's a pipeline to disease. 5 days later, I don't feel good. So what we do is that we take a health angle. It goes back to the wellness perception and that women are an influencer in this decision. We do a podiatrist-approved pedicure. Plastic lined bucket, distilled water. The instruments are all treated just like they are at a dentist office. First thing our artists do when they look at is they examine the feet for signs of diabetes and hypertension, which you can see in the veins. They're kind of trained on how to see and identify these types of issues and concerns. And we have had stories where we have told men, you need to go see the doc. Like there's something wrong. And have guys come back and go, thank goodness you told me about that. So It's an area where there's an intersection of more than just appearance. There is a genuine awareness occurring, particularly amongst women, that nails need to be done properly in a clean fashion without chemicals. When you walk into many nail salons, you're actually shocked at what you suck in. Like, what is this? Like this a petrochemical factory? It's pretty acute. It gives you a headache sometimes you're in there. You walk into our shops, you don't smell any of that. All natural organic products, completely clean. And so it's interesting. And it varies by shop, but at least in our experience in Texas, 5 to 15% of the people who come in, women coming in with their boyfriends or their husbands. Now, one, I think they're going, what the heck is he doing at this bar? Like, I got to go check this place out. But they go in there and they're like, they learn about this. And then they go, it's kind of a cool place to be. Here's really what's fascinating, Alan. Men are highly uncomfortable in locations geared for women. Ironically, women are very comfortable in locations geared for men because it's like a Friends episode. It's a bunch about, or Seinfeld episode, I should say. It's much ado about nothing. That's what guys do. They have their drink, they laugh and giggle. There's no gossip or anything going on. And it's a place where truly people relax. So we have our separate nails room, and the lights come down, music is at the right volume level. The channel is carefully selected, and it's a place where they can just simply relax and be with others who also are seeking to be the best versions of themselves. And there's a psychology there where you go, you're creating a gathering place for men and their women if they want to come in, where they can be. It embraces health and wellness and appearance, and it does so in a way that the experience is what's prioritized, not just the service.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that I noticed when I visited that your location was, as soon as you walk in, this is a very different place. This is not your typical barbershop. It's not a salon. It doesn't look like it. And there were, I'd say multiple different areas that really stand out. So give us the experience. I'm going to include, a couple pictures that I took from my trip. But when I first walk in, first thing I see is on the left here is a bar. And the place here, what's happening here? What's going on with that?
So this is one of the wonderful things about Hammer and Nails and the CEO, Aaron Myers. He was a chief, I believe, innovation officer at Massage Envy, really understands the psychology behind experiences. When you go to create not a men's barbershop, but a men's grooming shop, full meal services, and a place to gather and a place to be, you have to disrupt the perception of a barbershop. So when you walk into our shop, the first thing you're hit with is you're going, oh my gosh, this is Cheers.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a big bar. And we do that by design because it directs the eye to this so that when we begin to interact with them, the first interaction is we're a private members club, really for men who prioritize grooming and appearance and wellness. There's no sell. It's simply going, wait a second, private club, there's the bar, and we just reinforce that. And this becomes your place. You can come here anytime. You can have your favorite drink, whatever you want to. Only one at a time, but you can have that, right? And then we walk them over to the membership tiers. We have 3 tiers, and we explain basically 2 services or 3 services or 4 more services a month. But that's not important right now. The first thing we'll do is when we get you into the chair, we're going to learn about you. What do you want to look like? How do you aspire? How often do you come to your grooming salon? How did you find us? Why are you here? And introduced what we really call a needs-based analysis from a grooming perspective. So as you move into our barbershop, we turn the chairs towards you. So if you go to most grooming salons, male or female, they talk to you through the mirror. Think about that. In any ways, that's almost dehumanizing, right? Look at them in the eye. So we have the chair angled out towards them. They come and they sit down, and we talk to them one-on-one, and we record notes. And we try to, over time, to earn the right for our professional artists, and we do call them artists, I'll come back to that in a little while too, to earn the right to say, have you ever thought about? Because our artists understand what makes a man look good, right? Sometimes we have to move guys gently that way, but they earn that right. And so this whole thing is about sitting in the chair and going, they really care about me. The membership is introduced throughout the service, not as a sale, but going, okay, to maintain that look, Alan, you need to be in here every 2 weeks. And I know you've never had a pedicure before, so the first one's on us, okay? You need to take care of those toes, and which means that you need 3 services a month, and that's a VIP membership. Here's an advantage of a membership. If you like me as an artist, and Wednesdays at 2 o'clock are your time, we'll book our members out in advance. So what a fabulous benefit to go. I'm not going in competing. I go in early as a member and I establish my pattern. By the way, always free to change it. I can call, go on the app on the phone and change it anytime. But that ability to have a routine is really important to men. We're kind of simple creatures.
Yeah, and getting the same person. I mean, when you find that person that you love, you want to keep going back to that same person. And
because there's a relationship. If they do it right and they treat somebody not the way the artist wants to be treated, but the way the guy wants to be treated. We have a saying inside our shops. We don't make our problems theirs. We don't talk about us. We talk about them. Okay, we take an interest in their wives, their girlfriends, their kids, where they travel. When you come outside of yourself, which your inside is selfish if you think about it. When you go outside of yourself within this chosen vocation, you're creating something that's really interesting. A guy sitting around going, I'm seen, I'm heard, I'm touched, I have a place to sit. They know me. They don't just know who I am. They know the haircut, the clipper size, how often I get it cut, the type of coloring I like on my beard, all those elements. This is stuff that just doesn't occur in the men's grooming industry. And so when you go anywhere in the United States and you walk into any hammer and nails, because your membership's good everywhere, we have that note. So they can always go, I can get the same wherever I'm at. Now, then the other psychology that we know about guys. Guys have a fear of commitment, the big C word. There's a lot of truth to it.
There is.
So we have a membership program, no contract, no commitments. We don't earn it, quit. We're that confident. It's that
That's
good.
nice.
And so you take away any type of sales pressure. You're like, dude, it saves you 20%. You can spend 20% more. Frankly, we make more money off of it if you stay a guest. So it's kind of great. But you can save money, quit anytime, and the membership's good anywhere. And the credits you build up, you can give them to your friends. You can give them away to anybody. They can all use it. They don't go to waste. They are yours. We seek, unlike the fitness industry, to sign people up and then hope they never show up. We sign people up and we book them in advance so they keep coming back. We build a stable relationship so they keep coming back. We don't place them under any burden, and we offer them a savings through the membership model itself. When you add that element, you're starting to go, we run to the objections in advance. Guys going, wait a second, you got my favorite drink, I got my favorite artist, got my favorite day, got my favorite time, got my favorite haircut, you don't have any contracts, I saved 20%. What am I missing? Right? It's a checkmate move in the marketplace where people have one line of business. So let me go into something if you're a potential investor or owner in this business. Diversification. So the number one reason guys leave a barbershop is guess who leaves? Their barber. Because the only service they get from that barbershop is a haircut. Nothing else.
Quick pause. If the way Frank thinks about this resonates with you, that's exactly the kind of clarity I help people find. I guide driven professionals to the right franchise at no cost. athletetoowner.com/ready. All right, back to Frank.
So in our shop, we intentionally design relationship diversification and service diversification. So your best friend in the shop is going to be our general manager, whose primary job is to be best friends with all the members. You want to earn that right when you walk out. I want the manager to walk up and go, Alan, is everything okay? You could tell me. Because sometimes it's hard to say something, right? Earn the right to hear the truth, and I'll fix it. Don't worry about it. That'll never happen again. Our membership concierge, She knows your drinks, or he knows your drinks, your preferences, your timing, and make sure that your schedule's organized. Your cut and shave artist. They know exactly what you want and where you want it and how you want it. And your hand and foot artist, another separate artist who knows everything about that particular room. 4 relationships, multiple services. Think about it if you're a guy. You come into one of our shops and you go, okay, I'm getting a manicure, a pedicure, and a haircut every month, and a free drink. One artist leaves. Where are you going to go? You go, oh man, I got to go back to my wife's nail salon. I got to go back to that other barbershop that doesn't provide any of these services and doesn't have a membership model like this, and doesn't have a full bar like this place does.
Right.
They'll rationalize stickiness of the membership. Flash forward. You get 1,000, 1,500 members, you're a 100% membership model. You've got a waiting list to get into your shop. Think about a guy going, do I really want to quit this? Right? I'll lose my spot because I got a waiting list. Some guy's going to take it. So it creates a scarcity effect, and it feeds the development of your second and third and your fourth shop. Follow me? Because you know where everybody lives, and you got their addresses and their 5-digit zip codes. So it becomes a way that one shop leads to the next. And it's built off a recurring revenue model, so that you wake up each month going, I got 100,000, I got 90,000, 100 coming in every single month.
That sounds amazing. I mean, it sounds like the key to all of this, which you mentioned earlier, is really creating an experience that's unlike anything else that is out there, and one that makes people clearly want to come back and keep coming back and get scared to lose their spot. I mean, it sounds like a formula for success in this industry.
You nailed it. Look, a haircut's a haircut. A cheeseburger's a cheeseburger. A chicken sandwich is a chicken sandwich. One of my favorite anecdotes, I don't know if it's a good anecdote, Aaron may get mad at me about this one, but think about Chick-fil-A. So Chick-fil-A is just a chicken sandwich, okay? And they said, well, how am I going to compete against McDonald's and Burger King? And they thought to themselves, you know what? Let's treat our people better, pay them a better wage, invest in more training, give them benefits. When you walk into a Chick-fil-A, you can feel it. Yeah, they sell just chicken, but it's cleaner, it's friendlier, they're happier. Well, think about our business. It's much the same. We treat our artists really well. And we create an environment because most barbers and cosmetologists are not treated well. It's one of the worst treated vocations in America. And so you can create an experience where you invest in the experience of the artist. You say, instead of a 12-minute turn like at Sports Clips, minimum 30-minute turns for us, if not 45 minutes or an hour, depending upon the service. You chose barbering and cosmetology for a reason, because you're an artist. You enjoy it. We respect and advance the nobility of that vocation. This is not an insignificant item, because to get to the experience actually begins with the person providing it. Mm-hmm. They go, I'm treated with dignity here. I'm paid well, and I'm given the time to do my job right. And I'm building up 100 to 150 guys that come in every month that prioritize appearance, wellness as part of their lifestyle, just like most barbers and cosmetologists do. That's not an insignificant thing, because if you win the labor battle over the long haul, you win the war. And so I don't want to leave out artists. And by the way, just a quick note, barbers have been around for more than 3,000 years. So you go back to ancient Greece and ancient Rome, they were considered artists. The Latin word for that it was essentially derivative of today's use of the word artist. That's the esteem the profession had, and how important it was for men and for women to look and to be their very best. So we have returned, we think, or making an attempt to return the nobility of this profession, because there's a shift where people are beginning to prioritize this particular aspect of their lives. And these people who society kind of looks past, now beginning to see they're kind of important, and they can have an important relationship in their life to create the experience, not the haircut or the pedicure. It's an experience. And when you get that right, it's priceless. Because deep down, the psychology that's changed is, in a world of technology, people want to be related to as a human being to human being, to have a relationship, a personal experience. There's something interesting about allowing someone to touch you. It's almost a level of intimacy. right? If you walk down the street and just ask someone, hey, rub my hair, it'd be weird, right?
That would be very weird.
But that's what you do when you sit down in the chair, right? And to have an artist that recognizes I'm earning the right to touch you. I'm earning the right to be honest with you, to try to help you be the best. It's a beautiful thing, right? Mm-hmm. It's better than a chicken sandwich. It's really a beautiful thing. And so when I tell people just on the economic way of how much economic value you can create by the experiences, the pride you can have if you commit to delivering these services, you can feel good about what you're doing for your artist. You can feel great about what you're doing for your members and your guests. There aren't many businesses that just feel good like this. I've done a bunch in my lifetime as a Wall Street guy. They were objective to earn returns. They were not feel good. This one feels really, really good.
That's great. I love how you start there. I mean, with taking care of your team. Obviously, I mean the artists are the connectors from your business directly to your clients, to your members. So I love how you start with them and their experience in treating them well. Tell us about how it's different than a traditional model. I mean, I think when I think of salons and barbershops, potentially, like, I think a lot of those are people that are renting out those chairs, right? Is this different?
It's a lot different. I've seen varying statistics ranging anywhere between 30 to 60% of barbers and cosmetologists pay to rent their chair. No benefits. They spend 1 week to 2 weeks just trying to cover the cost. It's really kind of sad. And then once their clients attrit, they move, they lose their jobs or whatever, they're stuck because their book's declining because they have no marketing. And they have to go back to the corporate world to try to find clients again. You got to break that trap. And we do that by providing a hourly wage that's dignified. Okay, we don't pay minimum wage. We do better than that, much better than that. We put well-to-do guys in their seats, which they tip better. Average tips at a budget competitor of ours are a fraction of the tips that are earned in our environment. A membership model where you get 100 to 150 of your best friends, and you don't have to carry all the water yourself. Right? You can. It's in your interest to help them get more services because the guy keeps coming back for more than just you. And it's a place where they can exercise their craft. And so when you put those elements together, it's doing something radically different in this industry segment. Now, that's the good news. There's always a responsibility for the opportunity. What's the responsibility? Don't make your problems theirs. We have a golden standard. We mean it. We don't skip a step. So we're like a high-end steakhouse when it comes to grooming shop. Like, everything's perfect, clean, organized, nothing on the floor, smells great. You walked in there, everything is pristine. We don't wait to be told to pick a thing up. We create a culture where I do it. If I see it, I do it. I don't do this. It's not my station. It's someone else's station. No. It's about the experience. That's the responsibility that we ask. So there has to be an intersection of interest. People looking for an economic opportunity, but you have to go. You're becoming part of a team. It's a culture built on experiences, not about us. It's about them. When you find those people, you got a winner. Deep down, what I found with artists and cosmetologists, they're very sensitive people. Deep down, they're people. And when they recognize that it's not just about the customer, but it's about my team members as well, that responsibility of creating a culture inside the shop, that's a requirement. And the next thing, and this one's going to appeal to you. You're going to pick up on this one. When you play sports, okay, you're a D1 athlete. You played at a higher level, but I played a lot of sports and a lot of teams. Loved it. Deeply influenced my life. And I was blessed to have coaches who constantly reminded me, it ain't about the game, man. It's about training and it's about practice. Train the body, train the mind, train the breath, practice the technique, practice the fundamental, become relentlessly obsessed with perfection. Small things matter. Don't worry about the big things. Do the small things. We do the same thing. We expect you to practice. We have practicums. We have intense training. We have video modules. We have reinforcements to our golden standard and our perfect pitch and all these things that we do to say you must practice your craft. It's not a one-time training. I'm done. Let's go play in Wimbledon, right? Like it's a step along the way. And I have found that, that doesn't appeal to everybody. I got it. But there are a lot of people who actually want structure, actually want to go, they're investing into me in training and practice and discipline, and that it's outward focus. I'm not trying to win a game. I'm trying to make somebody happy, right? And it gives it meaning. So that is a prospective owner of a hammer and nail shop or an investor into our enterprise. Make sure that's where your motivation is coming from. You can't fake it, right? I believe athletes win for a reason. I believe that athletes make sometimes awesome business people because they don't skip the small stuff, right? They do the little things. And when we do that well, right down through every member of the team, right? It's not just the owner, the general manager, the membership concierge, the artist. When it becomes a cultural identity that the team self-reinforces. The best coach in a team sport is your colleague right next to you. You don't need the head coach. The head coach, if he or she have done their job well, the team self-coaches, self-corrects. And that's what we aspire towards. You never get it perfect, but doesn't mean you don't keep trying.
You shoot for perfection and settle for excellence. I love that.
Yeah, that's right. You can win the serve, and the crowd's going, "Wow, man, he blew that right by that guy," and you're thinking to yourself, "I could have put it 1 more inch closer to the line." Right? That I know that could have been a little bit better. Right? That a better player would have returned that shot.
Yep.
And you're like, I gotta get better. So you hear the applause, but you're like, no. You're like, I think that you define the standard different than I do. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and that search for constant improvement throughout. I mean, there's always room for improvement, and being just relentless about that. Being, okay. Like, I think you've got to be wherever you're at is where you're at, but having, and not necessarily stressing about that, but having the desire to always be better and looking for those ways to improve. If you have that in yourself and your team has that same attitude, I think that's how businesses grow and be able to provide better service consistently, always looking for that way to improve the experience and improve what everyone's doing.
Let me have one quick confession on this point, because it's an area we've got to continue to get better at. So in my business life, I love it when people admit a problem or a challenge before I catch it.
Yeah.
Think about it, right? As the boss, I'm going, if I have to constantly try to catch people, boy, it's no fun for anybody. But if they come to me or to their boss and they go, "Hey, I didn't do this as well as I should have," before anyone else would have known, give them a bonus. Give them a bonus. And we're trying to build this on our own team. And we're still a work in progress on this front because people have never been treated that way. I'm like, don't run from it. Run to it. Don't hide. Don't duck. Don't chuck and jive. Run to it. When we win that cultural fight where people go, he likes for us to fail forward. See, then as an athlete, you sit there and you go, "Oh, dude, he's so right. I didn't get good by winning every time. I got good because I failed 10,000 times."
Exactly. You have to fail. You have to fail. How you learn.
So some personalities are entrepreneurial and embrace the failure, right? But let's be honest. Entrepreneurs are a minority. Most people have to be rewarded for the failure. Positive incentives that says, okay, because it's not natural, it's hard, it's weird. And I think that's within this culture, because barbers and cosmetologists have been so poorly treated. And there's a lot of people with some damage that they bring to it. And we've got to get better at figuring that out and working on it, because that's when you take an organization and you do radically important things, not just economically, but you do radically important things for people, where they learn the success comes from failing forward. Don't ever view it as a loss. You just learned another lesson today, and we get it and we grow.
Exactly. Win or learn, right? Win or learn. Frank, so I want to segue a little bit here. You're the CEO of, Hammer and Nails Texas, which is kind of an unusual title. People looking into getting into franchising wouldn't normally hear, like, oh, hammer nails of of an entire state. So tell us about how you are set up exactly, like what really an area developer is. And, we got some people out there that might be interested in large, multi-unit operations and some that are just looking to, open one. Love to hear from you about that.
Yes. Now I'm going to put the Wall Street hat back on, and I'm probably going to use some terms that you just stop me when I start saying something. I don't know what that means.
Make it good for plain English for people who aren't familiar with this space.
So everyone knows that operations is the indispensable element in almost any retail business. You got to be a good operator. So we've built an operations company, and I've got a fabulous head of operations, and we hire great general managers, and we develop infrastructure around that operations company that not only we can apply towards Hammer and Nails, but we will apply to other non-competing brands in the future that meet my factor list as an operations platform. So there's a whole series of things where there's a lot of value add. And one of the value adds for that goes to the second leg of the stool, which is franchisee development. So a lot of times, area developers may only own 1 or 2 shops, maybe 3. I believe right now I'm the largest franchisee in Hammer and Nails, and we're going to get bigger and bigger. If I'm going to be a franchisee for an area developer, wouldn't I like to know that they've got a ton of skin in the game themselves? That they own and operate a bunch of shops and they're right next door to me, right? That they're really committed to this. And they learn all the lessons, the hard knocks, so they can share. You don't have to go through quite as many failures. And what if they've developed relationships with general contractors, landlords, and other people where they can negotiate better contracts at better pricing than you could have on your own? Actually add value to your franchisees. This is what I call alignment in Wall Street terms. Instead of having conflicts of interest, you seek alignment. That my interest are yours. I don't just get a royalty fee off gross revenues. I'm an EBITDA guy. I'm a net income guy. So I share with you this drive for profits. That's the second leg of the stool. So when we talk about franchisee development, it isn't just, in my mind, about selling licenses. It's about creating economic success through great operations. So these two become connected concepts. And then the third aspect of that is investment management. So what I mean by that, I was shocked when I came into the franchise world, and you know this better than I do. 24 out of 25 leads shouldn't be a franchisee. They don't have the money, the temperament, all these things that we're looking for. And in the franchise world, they just kick them to the side. It's just, it just didn't fit for you, right? They move you to the side. So we create a structure where sometimes goes, okay, I'm going to keep my day job. I'm a good doctor. I should stay a doctor. But maybe I can invest with you, Frank. Maybe I can invest with you and help you scale more shops. Love to talk to you about that. It's called in Wall Street parlance, minimizing spoilage. Highly efficient. So people go, 1 out of 25 become franchisees. Isn't that wonderful? Other people go, well, I'm 1 out of 10. You know what I hear? 24 out of 25 are thrown away and wasted opportunity. Let's turn those into something as well. So we look at the 3-legged stool of Hammer and Nails Texas. It's 3 separate companies: a development company for franchise licenses, an investment company to help manage people's investments in these, and a operations company to support our shops and to support other shops. That puts a CEO over this because it's really a holding company over this three-legged animal, and that we can do this across multiple concepts. And I want to be in a position where somebody goes, Frank, if you're adding this concept, and I know the way you think, and I know the way you're wired, and I know what you're bringing to the table based on your successes, maybe I should take a look at that deal too, right? Mm-hmm. And this synergizes what you do for a living with what we do for a living, where we want to create an even coin flip to bring things full circle. We're business coaches and consultants and others that are influence people in this particular industry can go, you know what, all things being equal, there's a lot of great brands, but man, there's a guy here, if this grooming thing, can I say that might be an uneven coin flip in the equation about where you might want to, you should at least have a conversation with him. Let's put it that way. And I think if we can do this well, a Wall Street guy is showing up here in a way to do a little disruption, to create more alignment, to create better outcomes for franchisees and franchisors, and to put a lot more skin in the game and into the deal so that people go, they're not just selling me something, that they really do own what it is they're selling, and they own it at scale.
Yeah. So this is one thing that's different than someone working directly with the franchisor. When you're working with an area developer, you've got this local support, right? Everything you just mentioned about all the know-how and relationships and all these other things in an ideal situation is what you're providing is all these other resources, and someone who knows it really, really well, because you're running them and growing them at the same time, which is pretty amazing. Especially to have that local support, I think is fantastic. What do you see as far as Texas as a whole? I mean, it's a huge state, obviously, and you're planning on opening, a bunch of them. Like, what's the, like, how many do you, I guess, foresee in the future, just being in Texas as a whole?
So let's talk about Texas first of all. And you can probably tell by the accent, I'm from here. And I've worked in a lot of places. Like, nobody comes to Texas for the weather. So because of that adverse circumstance, the state has to compensate. It's called the friendly state for a reason, right? Because people have to compensate. The other thing is that it's uniquely located. It sits in the middle of the United States. So it is the capital of South America and Latin America with Houston. It has one of the largest ports in the United States. It has the largest hydrocarbon concentration. So basically, Saudi Arabia and Texas are about the same. We have one of the largest agricultural bases in the country. We have one of the largest technology bases in the country. Most New York Stock Exchange firms like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they're moving to Texas. In fact, the Texas Exchange is going to be effectively a competitor to the New York Stock Exchange. I could go on and on about the economic strength of Texas, the positive migration to Texas of young professionals. We just had 10,000 JP Morgan executives relocate from New York City down here. We got another 15,000 from Goldman Sachs. There are a lot of reasons to come to Texas. So when I look at places, with all due respect to a lot of places around the country, they're great places to live. It's hard to find as many great places that have those positive patterns of youth and affluence. And because it's a low-cost state, people have more disposable income. Remember, Alan, it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep that you can spend. And Texas, when it comes to disposable income, is right up at the top of the United States in terms of, because we keep more down here. We spend less on homes, spend less on restaurants, spend less on gas. We just spend less on a lot of things. So that's factor one about Texas. Factor two, 20 years in a row, it's been the leading state for business in the United States. Nobody's even close to it. There are certain statistics that would indicate that if Texas was not part of the United States, the U.S. would be in a recession. So that's just how strong the economic growth is out of Texas and Florida and a few other states. It's not just Houston, Austin, and Dallas. It's exploding in Midland, in Lubbock, in El Paso, in San Antonio, in Tyler, Texas, in Amarillo, Beaumont. I can go on and on. The growth is throughout the state, and it's also, we're diverse by industries. So Austin is one of the new tech capitals. Houston is not only the Fortune 500 capital of the United States, it's also a huge healthcare center. Dallas is the new financial capital for the country. I mean, farming, agriculture are huge parts of this business. So what it means is that your primary risk as a franchisee are the jobs of your customers. Think about it, right? If you're living in the Bay Area and all of your customers work at Facebook and Google, what's happening to you? Those guys getting laid off. Getting laid off and they leave. So when you have a geography, well, first off, they're leaving to you. Secondly, you have industry diversification, and when one zigs, the other zags, okay? Technology could be going down, healthcare is going up, right? There's all these things. So from a fundamental perspective, I believe it's one of the lowest risk, highest return markets for a franchisee to consider, particularly multi-unit franchisees that can put their locations smartly, because we do the research for them about what's the underlying employment factors. Okay, so don't just put 3 of them because it's near your house. Go a little bit deeper than that. That's a long-winded explanation about why Texas is a disproportionately good bet. when you think about it from a portfolio perspective. So to answer your question directly in terms of the expansion of the state, we're going to develop minimum, I'm contractually obligated, 60 shops in the state of Texas. That's the bare minimum. This shop can hold more than 100. People always think you have to have the same number of seats. You can open up a 4-seat shop. Okay, put it in downtown Houston. We got shops that small in the system. So you have large shops that have 10 seats for cut and shave. So there's lots of flexibility with playing with the numerator and denominator. I probably shouldn't say this, but we're seriously considering secondary markets in the state of Texas for our own portfolio, like Tyler, Texas. Huge growth, zero competition. I mean, like none. Right? Like that's competition. Austin has like none. And I'm thinking, golly, man, we should open 3 shops in Tyler. We'd kill it. We'd absolutely kill it because those are our guys. So I tell people looking at Texas, don't just think about the big cities.
Yeah.
There's wealth throughout the state. And when you move to the secondary and tertiary markets, most of the franchise concepts stay in the primary markets. When you move to secondary and tertiary, we can literally kill it in the state of Texas. Franchisees could really just do fantastic if they just open the lens a little bit wider, which is why I like to have a more statewide footprint for our investment fund owned shops so that we can support shops in the secondary and tertiary market. So right now I've got a shop in El Paso. Okay. El Paso is one of the largest cities in the United States, right? There are tons of people there. Got a shop in Frisco, a northern suburb of Dallas. Got one in Preston Forest in Dallas. That's kind of the hoity-toity section of Dallas. We've got franchisees down in San Antonio, down in Houston. We're about to open another one, a shop down in Austin. Getting ready to open one in Flower Mound. I mean, just going around the state, and it's really a beautiful thing, and it's pretty exciting. And I think what we're looking for, and that's kind of why I love what you do for a living, is to find the types of owner, operator, entrepreneurs that bring a value orientation and an experience orientation and can see the big picture about what Hammer and Nails is in 2026, because you're going to wake back up in 2036 and go, holy smokes, I should have invested in that.
Yeah. Let's end on this on this moment here, this question I have, which is, what does that ideal Hammer and Nails candidate look like? The one that's going to be, successful in your system, whether it's in Texas or somewhere else.
Yeah, there's lots of great places. I'm biased in Texas. There are lots of great places. And we have lots of great area reps, like really freakishly good. Like the franchisor's done a wonderful job with the majority of the area reps. So golly, I could start naming names, but they're great. So the ideal one, and I think we beat it a little bit to death, people who want to own an experienced business, not a barbershop, not an insignificant distinction. Okay, don't think of it as a thing. Think of it as an experience, because that's what has the value. It is not the haircut or the pedicure. It is the experience that has the value. So you have to have someone that they actually, the light bulb illuminates on that. 2, have to be committed to developing a culture. Your artists should be blessed with financial outcomes, so they come here and they can raise their own families, but they must accept the responsibility that it's not about them. It's about the member and the guest. So you need a leader who every day says the hard thing, speaks plainly. It's not about me. It's about the member and the guest. So that's attribute number 2. Attribute number 3, multi-unit mentality. Whether they're an existing multi-unit owner or they possess the skills to own and operate a business, think bigger. Think bigger, because the underlying risk, in my opinion, is a single unit. It's like walking into the casino and going, I'm putting everything on 28 red, So put some more bets. When you get to a 3rd unit, you've actually done an amazing thing in terms of reducing your actual portfolio risk than having an asymmetric risk on one, because we can sometimes just not get the right spot, right? Like it does happen. So those are the 3 things that I think are things that if that resonates with someone listening to this, yeah, we want to talk to them.
I love it. I love it. Well, that was an awful lot of great information. I love how you spoke to the brand and the experience and the culture and all these things. And even with Texas, a lot of things I didn't know about the benefits of owning a franchise in Texas, to having a business in Texas.
Come on down.
It's great. I really appreciate you joining me today, Frank. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge, and congratulations on being a franchise champion.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate you and congratulate you on what you're doing inside the marketplace. It's unique. It's valuable. Your lessons about athlete to owner are that they're powerful. People should read about your story. And I'm just grateful that we got a chance to meet and connect on so many of these points. So God bless you on what you're doing.
Thank you, Frank. We'll have to catch up another time in the future to get your status updates later on.
That sounds great. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Frank. What Frank is building didn't happen by accident. It started with one deliberate decision about the right brand. That's where everyone starts. I help driven professionals make the first decision well, finding the right franchise that fits your background, your finances, and the life you want. Then I guide you through the whole process at no cost. Book a call at athletetoowner.com/ready, or use the link in the show notes. I'm Alan Regala, helping you become a franchise champion. See you in the next one.